Big Sills! Happy Monday to you, man. Appreciate all you guys coming aboard. Hopefully everyone had a spectacular weekend. I mean, NFL owner meetings this week. The news is huge today already. We got breaking news on Lamar Jackson. We're going to get to that here in a minute. My Miami Hurricanes here have made it to the Final Four for the very first time in program history. Incredible. You actually have two South Florida programs, FAU and UM, in the Final Four for the very first time. They'll be in Houston. UConn's in there, and obviously San Diego State, a team that I covered when I was broadcasting at the Mighty 1090. I mean, Steve Fisher is a dear friend of mine, and so is Brian Dutcher. It's really awesome to see those programs and where they've come from. I mean, Steve Fisher used to give tickets out. And when he took over, I think they had 4 wins. Do you want to know what the most memorable distinction was? Do you guys know who the all-time – he still might be. Tone, I don't know. He still might be. Do you know who the all-time steals guy is at San Diego State basketball? I think it's Tony Gwynn. He still might hold the record for the most steals for a point guard at San Diego State. And I'm not kidding, man. I think it's Tony Gwynn. Tony Gwynn was a hell of a basketball player for the Aztecs. And I know his wife really well, just an absolutely spectacular family. And it's really great to see those programs. And, man, I'll tell you one thing about the NCAA tournament. We'll get into the Eagles here in a second. But do you know why the NCAA tournament is so good? Because it's fair. College football is not fair anymore. Just not fair. Clemson, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, and then an outlier. And it's been that way for the last 20 years. It has become so top-heavy. You get programs, and by the way, I think NIL and the transfer portal have definitely benefited college basketball 10 times more than college football. Because it's the same cast of characters in college football every year. Every year, Clemson, too, throw them in the mix. Every year, it's the same dudes. It's the same dudes. College basketball, get a couple guys. And also, too, I got to tell you, I think COVID had a lot to do with this. You got guys coming back for extra years. And some people now are like this. Okay, so we had all the upsets, but we don't have any of the blue bloods now in the Final Four. And now you're like this. It's kind of anticlimactic. I like it. It's something different. The NCAA tournament is fair. It's fair. College football, dude, the bowl season, players don't even want to play in the bowl season. They don't even want to play. The NCAA tournament, everybody wants to play because it's a place where you could showcase your talents. I thought it was awesome. That thing lived up to billing, man. I really had a great time watching it. I would never watch NBA basketball like I watched the tournament. I would never. And NBA basketball is the most boring thing because most of the time when I tune on the games, these guys are load managing. They're not playing, or somebody's bitching about something stupid, or somebody's making a political statement. I don't give a shit about any of that. When I tune on a sporting event, I don't care about your politics. I just want to watch you play. That's what the tournament gives you. The tournament gives you just pure sports. NBA, they're trying to tell you who to elect. Anyway, I absolutely love the tournament, man. I thought it was a great weekend. And I think it was great for the NCAA. Do you know that 90% of their operating budget comes out of that tournament? That's why they're not giving highlights up that easily. 90% of their operating budget comes out of that tournament. It is a gold mine when it comes to the networks. All right. Lamar Jackson has demanded a trade. Does not want to play in Baltimore. Wow. Don't ever tell me the Jalen Hurts discussions and negotiations could never go down that line. Lamar Jackson is one of the best people you can ever meet. The Ravens have been one of the gold standards in the NFL. John Harbaugh was asked the question today in Phoenix at the owners' meetings. He had a laugh because the other expression would be crying. You don't let a guy like that walk out the building. And get this, the Ravens don't want to pay him because he's dual threat. Dual threat. I'm paraphrasing the statement from Lamar. Well, they don't want to pay me my value. Code, the Ravens think he's going to continue to get hurt. Why should the Eagles go down that same avenue with a dual threat? Why? Jalen is not a better player than Lamar Jackson. He's not. Might be smarter. By the way, let me throw this at you here. After watching Jalen Hurts play this year, I'm going to make a statement to you about Jalen. It just shows you the crime that Carolina had and how they managed Cam Newton. It was criminal on how Carolina played him. Criminal. They broke that guy in pieces by the end of his career. The way they ran him, the way they played him, it's criminal. Jalen Hurts must have learned a lot just watching how Cam got destroyed in Carolina. Okay? But he must have looked at that and went like this. Damn, that can't be me. By the way, the guy at Buffalo should take a look at Cam Newton tapes because he's on the same Cam Newton track. Dude, you need to take care of yourself, and you need to play a little bit more like Jalen Hurts. You know when that is? Go down. Live to play another play. There is no question. I will concede this to you. The only thing that Hurts does better than Lamar Jackson, play smarter. And get this, that could be enough. That could be enough. I've made this point to you before, and I'll continue to do this. Notice I didn't say this. And he has to this point. But I never said that Lamar Jackson would win more games than Jalen Hurts. I just said he's a better quarterback. He's a better player in every aspect. The Eagles have been playing dual threat quarterback since Cunningham. They also paid Vic. Funny, Vet, you never won your Super Bowl with a dual threat. You didn't win a Super Bowl with a dual threat quarterback. You won it with a drop back quarterback. Actually, two of them. Okay, so, I mean, you didn't win a Super Bowl with a dual threat ever. Okay? They were all drop back guys. Yacht goes, that explains the one Super Bowl. That's a not dude. If Randall Cunningham played in today's NFL, he'd make $55-60 million too. Randall was a special player. Randall Cunningham was a special player. Okay? It was just a great football player. Now, let's do this. I'm assuming, Vet, that means paid. Because I'm assuming the latter he does. Anyway, I'm assuming, hey, Vet, Hurts will get, I'm assuming that's paid. The other one, I think we can both agree, Vet. Hey, Vet, I think we can both agree. Yeah, okay, he gets the other one. Okay? One of the very few times Vet and I agree on, hey, Vet, I think he does, get laid. I'm with you, man. Okay, yes. Hey, Vet, we finally agree. I'm going to send you $2. Okay? Here's the case here. Why wouldn't the Baltimore Ravens pay Lamar Jackson $250 million? Why wouldn't they pay him? Why would they pay him? They don't want to pay him $50 million. Can I throw something out for shits and giggles? How about a player swap? Send Hurts to Baltimore for Lamar Jackson. You think the Ravens would do that? You think the Eagles would do that? You think the Eagles would want Lamar Jackson? He's a year older. We're not talking about an older player. He's a year older. He's more accomplished. Individually, he's more accomplished. It's not close. This guy won an MVP when Brady and Breeze, Mahomes, Rodgers, all them guys. And he was unanimous. He was unanimous. Led the NFL in touchdown passes. Wins over 70% of his ball games. Was 14-2. Has beaten Mahomes. Lamar Jackson last year would probably be a problem for some. Probably put business ahead of playing. Brian says I would take my chance with Hurts. Hurts has done what? Unanimous MVP? Where was that? I must have missed that. Oh, yeah, that's right. He won the unanimous MVP award in Philly media. I'm sure he did. H.A. Brown would cry about that. He would cry about having Lamar Jackson, a more accomplished player, a year older than Jalen Hurts. As a football player, I want the guy who gives me the best chance to win a Super Bowl. Now, Jalen has that. But remember something, getting to a Super Bowl is not an individual accomplishment. It's a team effort. It's a team accomplishment. It's not an individual. We'd like to make it that, but it's not. That's like telling me this. Hey, man, Nick Foles is a better quarterback than Dan Marino because he got to a Super Bowl. That argument's so obnoxiously stupid. You know, hey, Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl. Marino didn't. So I take Trent. It's the dumbest conversation you can have. Dumb. Just stupid conversation. Okay? When did Lamar go to a Super Bowl? Trent Dilfer got to one. Jimmy Garoppolo got to one. So, are those guys legendary? Colin Kaepernick got to one. And I'm talking about an individual superstar in Lamar Jackson who's actually won a Super Bowl. An MVP. Who's actually led the NFL in touchdown passes. Who actually ran for 1,200 yards, since that's a big deal for you guys. To me, it's not. It's more about the TD passes. That's right, Yacht. I mean, outside of Aaron Rodgers, you guys told me who's done. He's never beaten an elite guy. This guy has. He plays in the AFC. So you're telling me you keep Jalen Hurts over Lamar Jackson? Would I? Would I keep? Who would I take? Would I be cool with a player swap? And you know what's crazy? The Eagles have 2 ones to do this. You got 2 ones for Lamar Jackson? Dude, if I'm Carolina, I moved all the way up to 1. You're going to try to tell me you're going to draft Bryce Young and you wouldn't want Lamar Jackson instead of Bryce Young? What are you, crazy? So you would take CJ Stroud over Lamar Jackson? You're an idiot. You're an idiot. But here, would I take Lamar over Jalen? Look at me pausing. A year ago, I have no pause in that. Now, if Baltimore and Ozzie Newsome, who drafted him, this is where you have to be smart. Hang on, Tyler. Let me finish the take here before you sit here and start talking shit here on me. Hang on. Lamar is the product of what? The same thing that Jalen's a product of. Jalen was drafted by Howie Roseman. Ozzie Newsome, that was his last gift to the Raven organization. And if he's recommending that you don't pay him, shouldn't that be a red flag? Shouldn't that be a red flag? Ozzie Newsome is in the business of collecting talent for Baltimore. Okay? He's in the business of building championship football teams. He's built two. Always competitive. And if he's recommending to Steve Biscotti, I don't think we give this guy $250 million. Doesn't that make you pause? It made me pause today. As much as I like Lamar over Jalen Hurts, that made me go, Jalen might not be as physically gifted like Lamar. Like Brady's not to Aaron Rodgers. You got to go with the guy who's smarter. And Jalen Hurts, in my opinion, plays smarter football than Lamar. Hence, I think he's going to win more. I would never in a million years do a player swap with Baltimore because I don't believe Lamar Jackson plays a smart brand of football. I think Jalen Hurts plays a smarter brand of football. I would never say that a year ago. And he's more accomplished. He's more athletically gifted, Lamar. I just think Jalen plays a smarter game. Guys, Brady is nowhere near the athlete and the athleticism that Aaron Rodgers has. But that wasn't the key to winning Super Bowls for Brady. His knowledge of the game, his study, and his constant and relentless pursuit of excellence was the reason that he won. I thought about something Tone told me. Tone told me he was at the Maxwell Awards. Had a chance to talk a little bit with Jalen Hurts. And to paraphrase it, it sounded to me like 1,000% commitment to excellence and focus is why he's expanded his game this much. Jalen Hurts is not a better football player than Lamar Jackson. He's not. But he might end up being a better quarterback. And if I had to pick between the two, and I had to pay $50 million between the two, I'm going to pay it to Jalen Hurts. Because I think I trust the guy more to play smart. I need him on Mondays. I don't need him in the tub. I can't believe I'm saying this. I cannot believe that I'm saying I would take Jalen Hurts over Lamar Jackson because I think he plays a smarter brand of football than Lamar does. Unbelievable. 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 Unbelievable, I'm saying that. Unbelievable. Yacht, I get it all. But I just have a sense that I trust him more. You know, the Chicago shit bugs me because that coaching staff put him in a position to be injured, and it may have cost them the Super Bowl because he was playing hurt. Can you imagine Jalen Hurts 100%? He was never 100% from Chicago. Not saying Mahomes was, but there was no need for that in Chicago. That's the dual threat side of this that I hate. Jalen Hurts. Somebody said, Sills, would you do a player swap with Lamar Jackson? I had to think about it. Why is Baltimore balking at paying him? Doesn't that send a red flag up to you? Doesn't that send a red flag? Doesn't that send a red flag to you? Ozzie Newsome is still in the building. He's still in the building. Ozzie's still in the building. Okay? And he's recommending to the owner of the Ravens, we not pay him. We not exclusive tag him, which means it's a $36 million deal here. And I'm like, Niners all day, 93 yards passing. I get it. But again, 180 yards passing. You start throwing numbers at me here. I mean, how much did Mahomes have in the game? 180 yards? Wasn't like he lit up the record book in the Super Bowl. He lit it up in the second half. Just saying, man. How much of an impact do you think that the Lamar Jackson contract and the way this is going has any impact on Jalen Hurts' conversation? Because I think the Eagles could use this also against them. Hey, look at what Baltimore is doing now. How much of a market is out there for him? Would you pay a guy $51 million that's missed a ton of games in the last 3 years, even if he is 26? Would you pay a guy $51 million? Man, I'd rather build my team like San Francisco. Give me Brock Purdy. I told you this is why Brock Purdy's situation is a really great situation. He's a good enough player to get you where you want to go. He proved it without overpaying anybody. They proved it in San Francisco. San Francisco gets to the NFC Championship game every year. And they're not paying their guy. Said it. The Purdy situation is better. And by the way, anybody who thinks that this Eagle team is as good talent-wise as last year's Eagle team is high. There's 5 new coaches on defense. You don't even know what front you're playing yet. How can anybody make an assessment on what this team looks like today when you don't even have enough pieces to put a defense together? Who are your linebackers again? Who are your shitty safeties on the roster right now? These B signings? Come on, man. Use some brains. Lose 1,300 yards rushing, and people in Philly are going around telling, yeah, Penny will pick up the mail. Started as an average 2 games a year. Solid take. The defense is shaping up with what? People who have let players go that they're trying to upgrade. Funny, they signed a kid Murrow in Philly. The Bears upgraded with TJ. And that's an upgrade? How is that an upgrade in Philadelphia when they use your guy to upgrade? Crazy. Ass backwards and knee pad walking conversations that some people make are nuts. Okay? Edmonds, I'll make this point to you about Pittsburgh. Dude, Pittsburgh doesn't let draft choices get away. They don't let you walk. They don't let you go, man. Unless they're trying to upgrade. Pittsburgh's got to upgrade their defense. They haven't been very good on defense the last 2 years. And that Peterson sign, I think, is garbage. I mean, honestly, Pittsburgh needs to do a better job of restructuring that defense, and that's supposed to be Tomlin's forte. Baltimore basically runs the same offense we do our PO system. You give Lamar 2 good receivers and the excellent O-line. Lamar said he's asking for a trade. He did ask for a trade, okay? But I got to tell you, Eagle Way, I mean, it's not so much – I told you, he's a better ball player than Jalen Hurts. But he doesn't play smarter than Jalen. Jalen does everything to create yardage and also contact. He's not looking for contact. And that's the right way to play. That dummy in Buffalo needs to get a playbook out of Philadelphia and how to protect yourself. You know how you protect yourself? Playing smarter. Dude, Cam Newton is the greatest example of getting your ass kicked in an organization overusing you and not using you and protecting you correctly. It's criminal what the Panthers did to that guy. Okay? It's criminal. Every organization who has an RPO guy or a dual threat guy should always look to Carolina on what not to do to their quarterback. They almost killed that guy. Cam Newton can't throw a pass today. Almost. I mean, yeah, at a pro day, great. When the environment is perfect, super. If that was the case, son, you would have a job. Lamar gave up on the Ravens long ago. Hey, vet, why don't you turn that around and go, the Ravens gave up on Lamar a long time ago. He sat out a wild card game and didn't even travel with the team. Huge red flag. Okay? I said that too. You're right. You're right. This whole thing was handled horribly by both. This thing was handled terribly by both people, Baltimore and Lamar's people, which are his family, who I know. By the way, don't shut the door on Carolina giving you the number 1 overall pick. I would do it. There's not a guy in that draft. There's not a guy in that draft that's better than him. And we got to remember, this guy's only 25, 26 years old. We're not talking about a 31-year-old guy here. You're talking about a guy who's like 18 months older than Jalen Hurts and is already more accomplished. However, he's injured, and it's a shit show. And Baltimore, I mean, I don't know who's in worse shape, Baltimore or Green Bay. You know, if I were the Jets, I'd do everything on my power to go into the Lamar Jackson sweepstakes and use that leverage against Green Bay. And if I were the 49ers, I would reach out to Green Bay and say, hey, look, we'll take them. I'll give you Trey Lance and a conditional 1 next year. That's the best I can do. Then you got two guys to pick from in Green Bay, Jordan Love and Trey Lance. And maybe you could trade one of those guys and get something back in return. San Francisco puts Aaron Rodgers on that team. That's trouble. But again, I don't know how you can fix all that with a cap issue. Okay? I don't know how you would do all that, especially with Bosa having to work on a new contract extension. I don't know how that would work. And I don't think you could put Rodgers on that team with $60 million. Jesse goes, Seals, if you were Howie and traded for the number 1 pick, who would you draft? Will Anderson if I'm him. Will Anderson. If you're 1,000% sold that you think your quarterback is the guy, I'd get Will Anderson. Will Anderson is the best player in the draft. He's the best player in the draft. That's who I would take. If I was Howie and Howie had the number 1 overall pick, I'd take Will. I would take Will Anderson. Jalen Carter's second, question marks, obviously. I'd probably say Young is third. I would say the tackle, offensive tackle from Northwestern is 4, and I'd say Bijan Robinson is the 5th best. Those are your top 5 players. It's pretty much consensus that those are your top 5 players. Stroud's probably the 6th dude. Okay? He's probably the 6th guy in the conversation when it comes to looking at the top 5 guys for this coming April draft. Okay, so those are your 5 dudes. Rodgers hates the 49ers. He would never play for them. You're making $60 million. You'll play on the moon. Okay? You'll play on the moon. I get it. They passed him over. I get it. They passed over him for Alex Smith. Understood? He went to Cal. That was something that he thought and where he was going to play. Agreed. Got to get over that shit. Nobody cares. Aaron Rodgers needs another Super Bowl to put the cherry on top of the legendary career he's built. It is legendary, too. The touchdown to interception ratio, you'll never see anything like that in pro football history again. A guy with nearly 500 touchdowns and just a little bit over 100 interceptions. It's insanity. This guy's like 5-1 touchdowns to interceptions. You'll never see that ever in your life again for a 17, 18-year career. It's one of the greatest in history. Just incredible. Incredible what he's done. Yeah, man. I came to that conclusion prior to coming on the air. If I had to do a player swap between Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts, I couldn't do it because I don't think Lamar Jackson is going to last longer than Jalen. And personally, that's why the Baltimore Ravens are not paying him $50 million. If the Baltimore Ravens, who have been one of the better franchises, and I would say this to you, since 2000, the Ravens have been a better franchise than the Eagles. Okay? They've been a better franchise than the Eagles. If they're saying we can't do it, Ozzie Newsome must know something. Ozzie must know something. That guy built 2 Super Bowl title teams. Every year, contenders. Every season, they're in the mix. And you're letting that guy walk by, and you think Tyler Huntley, the guy behind Lamar Jackson, is good enough to win ball games for you? I don't know. Okay? I don't know. How much does this affect him, though? How much will this affect him? How much will this affect him? I think the Eagles walk to their own beat. I think they're going to pay him. I think they're going to pay him by June 1. I think the Jalen Hurts contract will be done by June 1 when you have to be in a position. And with all of the restructuring that they've done and all the things that they've done a pretty – Howie's freed up some dough now. You know, the NFL Players Association listed all that. And then the NFL Players Association came out with a new list. Howie's restructured a lot of money. And they're going to have some dough to work here. They're going to have some dough to work. Yacht says Hurts has the best lineman and has been injured each year. True. Allen hasn't missed a game in 4 years with a trash O-line. There's a big difference. Hurts is too small. Allen is sustainable due to his size. Not a bad take. Not a bad take. And the reason that he's not in traction is because he's 6'6", 260 pounds. But do you want him to look like Cam Newton in the end? He's on the trajectory to be Cam Newton. A better Cam Newton. Is that what you want your quarterback to look like? The back end of the contract you just gave him for $42 million? I'm hoping not. I'm hoping not. You want him to think more like Jalen Hurts. By the way, just so you know, I don't think Jalen plays a long time. Because you took 11. I don't care. I don't give a shit what you have in Philadelphia right now in running back position. It is not near enough to cover for 1,300 yards and 11 touchdowns. You're going to have to show me that one. Because you got a bunch of dudes back there. They are not as good as Miles Sanders. And you hear the people in Philly, Rashad Penny is not a better player than Miles Sanders. End of story. And neither is Boston Scott. They're not. Kenneth Gain. They're not close. Not close. But you're going to make up for 1,300 yards rushing. I want to see that. Your quarterback has got more pressure on him. Okay? Let me ask you this one. By the way, some free agents that could be on the move, that could be game changers. Vegas has the win total out. Players that have to step up for the Eagles, going to kind of put out what I think you need. If you're going to get back to the NFC title game, I got a player list of guys that I say have to be huge and maybe into some aspect bigger than they were a year ago. Also, little bit on the Eagles and their future. Gary Cobb each and every single Monday, 4:30 from Fox 29 in Philadelphia. Kevin, we're going to get to that. Jeffrey Simmons, it looks like the Titans want to have a complete cleaning of house and all that. Man, he would cost you a lot of money. But I'll tell you what I would do. You want the 30th pick? But see, here, you got to remember something, Kevin. You think the Tennessee Titans, I told Tone this on Friday, you think the Tennessee Titans still have Howie Roseman's number? Or do you think they have that thing on block? They get A.J. Brown out of the building from them, and you think they're going to cut another deal with them? I don't know. Okay? I don't know. I know the Saints would never call the Eagles ever again. Okay? Yeah, okay, JM. Yeah, keep telling yourself that bullshit. He's better. That he would have played more. He'd have been the feature back. He was never. When Miles Sanders was on and healthy on that team, none of those dudes could beat him out. But now they're better, and it's an upgrade. Of course it is. Just like the safety you signed is an upgrade from Gardner Johnson. Then why'd that guy get $10 million? So you think because you sign a guy on a steal of a deal here that you say and a guy who leaves your building for $10 million, he's a better player. Solid take. Okay. Let's put this out there too, defensively. Where did you come up with the notion that the new coaching staff on defense, it's a new coaching staff, and the players all fit? Where did that come up from where today on March 27th, you're saying your defense is going to be good enough to be very competitive? How do you know this? How do you know the coaches and the players all fit together? How do you know this? It's a brand new coaching staff, secondary coach, linebacker coach. The D-line coach is back. The coordinator's new. How do you know this? How do you know even how Sean decides going to design the defense? I'm not telling you it's a bad, but you think that's just going to fit right in because it did a year ago? You had an intact coaching staff. You don't now. How do you know these guys all fit? How do you know the coach? Didn't Fletcher Cox have a bitch with Jonathan Gannon at first when they were 2-5? Hey, I don't know what he's asking me to do. Remember, they had to simplify it? They simplified it, and actually, what changed the whole thing was when Sirianni gave the play calling to Shane Steichen. That guy went on a run, Steichen. He got the you know how Shane Steichen got the Colts job? When Sirianni failed as the play caller. That's how he got the job. Because he took over 2-5, and he's now the head coach of the Colts because of that move. Okay? The problem that I have with everybody jumping the gun, you don't even know what this thing's going to look like. And I don't either. But that is more to me going of the unknown. Since when do you go into a football season and on March 27th, you don't even know what your defensive scheme is? They don't even know the scheme. But these guys are all going to play and have a defense that's going to be almost as compatible to what we saw a year ago. Where are you coming up with that? Or are you just being a homer? Okay. That's okay. That's cool too, being a homer. That's homer talk. That's not. How about we see a preseason game first? Me too. Dude, these guys may go out and turn out to be the 2022 Eagles. They very well could be. But to say that now, you don't have the same unit back. You're up the middle, completely decimated. Okay? Niners, you say you got a brand new defensive coordinator too, dude. Okay? My only point one more time is, bro, I don't know how you could sit here and say that. On what side of the football, that defense, I don't know how you get to that or how you got to that. Is the NFL getting away from defense? Dan, can you list the top 10 defenses? Are they getting away from defense? Yes. Yes. They want scoring. Why? More commercial breaks. It's more interesting. See, the one thing that the NFL does, remember something, Eagle Way, just so you know, the NFL is not partners with the players. The NFL is partners with the networks. The players are assets. They're not business partners. They never will be. They'll never be partners. Every time there's a strike, the players get their ass kicked. There's no partners. We stole Sproles, Malcolm Jenkins, Gardner Johnson, all from the Saints. I'm thinking they don't have the number anymore. You know? The commissioner comes out and lies to you, and he'll lie to you all week long in Phoenix, telling you that the players and the owners are business partners. Man, the owners are partners with the networks. That's where their money comes from, not the players. They use the players. They kick the players in the face. They take advantage of them. And they always will take advantage of them because that's who the owners are. They look down on players. They don't give a shit about the players. They care about the networks. The networks are the ones that give the billions of dollars to the owners. Business partners. Yeah, okay. That's why when they collude like they are now, because of the Deshaun Watson deal, and you even hear Ozzie Newsome saying, yeah, this thing kind of threw a wrench in the conversations that we had with Lamar Jackson. And he singles out the Browns. That used to be taboo, not talking about other organizations' contracts. For that to go on like that just shows you there's been conversation behind the scenes on organizations and general managers about the Watson deal. That used to be so. Have you ever heard Howie Roseman come out and go, you know that contract in Arizona that Kyler Murray got? Man, that was really a lot of money and way too much. Have you ever heard any general manager talking like that about other players and other organizations and how they do business? Okay? Not happening. I want to throw something at you here on a positive side for the Eagles here. I wrote this down. I never thought about this until now. In our preparing for the show, I want to show you something. These are Eagle players that are locked up through the year 2024. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, Cam Jurgens, Hassan Reddick. These are players that are locked up through the 2024 season. Jordan Davis, Josh Sweat, Darius Slay, James Bradbury, Avonte Maddox, and Nakobe Dean. That's 14 starters out of 22. That's pretty impressive. And soon to be Hurts. Landon Dickerson, too. You got Landon. Look at this. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens, Reddick, Jordan Davis, Josh Sweat, Darius Slay, James Bradbury, Avonte Maddox, Nakobe Dean. These are all starters. These are all starters. 14 of your 22 are locked up through the 2024 year. Shit, dude. And pretty soon you're going to have 15 with Hurts. Right? You're going to have 15 with Hurts. 15 of your 22. And look, AJ's 25. Devontae's 22. 22, 23. Goddard's young. Mailata's young. Dickerson's young. Jurgens is young. Davis is young. Sweat is young. Dean is young. Hurts is young. The majority of your offense is set up for the next couple of years to be the best offense in the NFC. You got work to do on defense. You're going to have a ton of guys that are going to be on this list that are going to come into the defensive side of the football. Tell you what, man, I didn't realize how young the football team is because of bringing back Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham and Jason Kelsey. Those three guys aren't going to be on the team through 2024. I wouldn't think. Eagles have, 14, 15 guys soon are locked up through the year 2024. That's some good football there. That's how you win games. Okay? That's how you win ball games. That's how you build the foundation of your football team. And you have the proper leadership dudes like Jalen Hurts. Okay? It's pretty good, man. See, Tony Dungy told me this years ago. You want to have a core group of dudes. Landon Dickerson, Jordan Mailata, A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts. You're hoping Jordan Davis. Those are your foundation guys. Those are your young dudes. Okay? Those are your young dudes. Kyle says, Sills, how would you say at this point how he's doing? I think he's limiting the damage more so than what I thought he was going to do, Kyle. Kyle, I thought there would be more damage. I thought one of the cornerbacks would be gone. I'm kind of shocked at the CJ deal. I'll tell you this, of all the players that I'm shocked on, I'm shocked the guy that left the building. That Epps move I was pretty shocked with him. The Epps move, the Sayamalo, watch this. Were you shocked on Sayamalo? No, because they couldn't keep all them guys because there's so much money in the offensive line. It's their biggest investment. When it comes to a group setting, the wide receivers right now are pretty vested. You got a number one wideout, and you're paying a guy $20 million north of it. That's a lot of investment in your two wideouts, plus your tight end is a $15 million guy. So your offensive approach, it's got a lot of investment to it. Your offensive line is your biggest investments. 2 tackles at $15 million north of, and your center makes $14.4. A lot of money involved in that. But it's the right thing to do. I think, you know what? For what he has to do, he still has to pay the quarterback. That's what he's preparing for here, is to pay the quarterback. We got 10 picks in next year's draft too. That's a great thing. My opinion, so that I can pay Jalen Hurts, I might trade that 10th pick. I might trade down or even out of the first round with that 10th pick. My opinion, man, there's going to be teams that are going to go into that draft, and there's going to be a quarterback that's going to sit at 10. Somebody's going to offer Howie Roseman a treasure chest at 10. I personally think, I'm telling you, I think there's going to be as many as 4. I don't see 5 quarterbacks that could be taken in that top 10. Okay? You move down or even out, and then you move up with one of the picks at 30 to say 15, and you grab your guy Porter or whatever. Somebody's going to fall into Howie's lap. I have a feeling Howie's setting a web right now. You know why? He don't have the money. Look at the signs. You know what he has, though? The position in the draft to make a massive impact. He made a massive impact last year in the draft without drafting because it was with A.J. Brown. Okay? His 2 biggest moves last year were trades. The sign of Bradbury turned out to be, but that was free agency. The Reddick sign was big, but the C.J. Gardner, it kind of molded and solidified the defense. When you got him and put him in the secondary, that defense, The defense moved because of him being in that lineup. It was changed. Okay? It was changed. I think, again, Howie doesn't have the money. Look at the signings. Always go by the money. Don't follow so much the player, the money. You let Bobby Wagner go. So you're telling me you'd rather have the kid from Chicago than Bobby Wagner? And Tone showed me his stats. He was great with the Rams. I was wrong. I look back, he was second team All-Pro. He's back with Seattle. Seattle's doing some good shit up there, man. How he couldn't sign him? Because he's got to pay his draft choices and he's got to pay his quarterback. So, what does he have in this draft? The 10th position. We hit on this last week. I think Howie is going to make some enormous move with one or two of those draft choices. What if Howie moved out of the first round altogether and went into the draft and got 2s, 3s, and 4s and a first rounder the following year? Could he do that? Sure. Counting on a rookie? Well, I'm hoping they hit on Sauce Gardner too. How many Sauce Gardners have you seen come out of college, though? In the last, the kid Surtain is pretty good. Did you think the kid Stingley was good? He's okay. As long as you stay in the SEC, I'm good. I'm not drafting guys at those positions from the Big Ten. Really? Big Ten? I don't know. Again, I don't really think the talent in the Big Ten is anything near what's in the Southeastern Conference. You're taking on top flight kids every single weekend. I'm not getting away from the Southeastern Conference. Just not getting away from it. Outside of Reddick, what early big free agency move did Howie make? JM, I think the Bradbury free agent signing. When New York let him go and they cut him, I think that was a big sign because Bradbury had not played well, in my opinion, like he did the previous year where he was a Pro Bowler. And he was coming off a down year. New management was coming in. And Howie gambled. It was a pretty significant number. It was a pretty good number that they gave him. So it was an investment. Dude, that's one of the reasons, too, I got to think that Bradbury's back is because Howie went out. Didn't Howie give him like $8 million last year? And he wanted like 13 or 14 from the Giants, and the Giants balked. And they let him walk out the building. But to me, man, the move was you put Bobby Wagner in the middle of that defense, and you draft Jalen Carter, and you have him sitting next to Fletcher Cox and also Jordan Davis on the 3-man rotation with Milton Williams. Now you're talking about fixing a defense, and you're going places. Instead, you signed the lesser of the linebackers out there. I don't even know if he ends up getting through camp. I don't know. The Bears were the worst defense in the NFL last year. Now, to some point, it's who you play next to too. Would he play better next to better people? Probably. Moreno, it was $10 million. I thought it was $8 million. That sounds about right. Remember, he wanted like 14 or 12. He wanted like 14 or 12. So I think he's going to make a move on draft day like he did a year ago because he doesn't have the money. And in my opinion, I mean, would you rather build the team this year and get younger this year, or do you wait until next year? I think this year you build through the draft. Take that 10th pick, move down, get some other picks. Stay young. Why is that essential? Because you got to pay your quarterback. Remember something, this coming year will be an extension. Still got to have a signing bonus. But the 2024 year is when that contract will kick in on March 15th, when you have to start paying him. If you do pay him $50 million, it'll be March 15th of 2024. That's when the number starts to become significant for the Eagles. And then they're going to have to start making some tough choices and a lot of restructuring. You're probably going to lose Kelsey. And Kelsey's $15 million off the cap. Okay? This year, take advantage of the top talent. You can build more depth next year. I agree, Cody. Cody, I agree. I'm going to hit on 10 players. 10 players that I think have to have huge years this year, bigger years. I'm going to start from 10 up to 1. Okay? I'm going to go from 10 to 1. Also, win totals and some top free agents. Gary Cobb will join us at 4:30 Eastern time. I think this is going to be an interesting next couple weeks as we get closer to the draft. See, Howie's a good deal maker. That I'll give him. And I think this is setting up for something here. Howie's got the 10th pick, folks. People are going to panic to get into that 10th pick. Hour 2, hit the like